let's get into some Hex DeFi stuff into this portion of our podcast. So, Ewok, yeah, you were talking earlier. You and I both, the last few weeks, had been saying that we felt like the Hex bottom was in back whenever it was just I mean, it consistently had only ever gone to the high 2 cents before. There was apparently a wick down below 2 cents one time very, very quickly that you can see in the chart. But I didn't really think we were going to go below 3 cents again. It seemed like Hex was on a decent uptrend. But we were wrong about that because it went pretty deep into the twos consistently for a few days.
Yeah.
Last week into this week. So, yeah, what do you think? You were alluding to it earlier, but I mean, with the different scenarios that we think may happen with Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market, your main scenario, in your opinion, being that we could see new lows by January down into that maybe at the worst 11K-ish range. What would you see as the worst case scenario or the lowest that maybe we could see Hex go in that time frame?
Well, even back to your Bitcoin statement, we listen to what Richard says a lot because, until he's been wrong, which he hasn't been very often, his 11K in pray really means I hope it stops there.
Right.
He thinks it could go even lower than 11K. And, if the right circumstances happen where a lot of shorts or a lot of longs get liquidated, like I said before, it could cause a nice little cascade and be on a runaway freight train. Who knows where it'll stop? There will be buy pressure, obviously, to help pull it, back up a little bit. But I think that's possible. Now, as I said earlier, I think the bottom for Hex, depends. Depends on how much FUD there is, and that's why I think what we saw the last couple of days has been a product of that. There's still FUD everywhere. We've been dealing with it since Hex launched. So. But like I said, when you know what it is and you know that it's a mutable code, there's not a whole lot that FUD can really deter other than the support of the community. So, I think, again, that level of maybe 1.5 cents could be the very bottom if Bitcoin decides to go back down and drags everything with it. But the beauty of Hex is that it's not really tied to the Bitcoin price. So there is a decorrelation in that sense, where the majority of it is tied to Ethereum. Now, Bitcoin can drag Ethereum down, which can in turn drag Hex down a little bit. But with the majority of our liquidity being in USDC, it definitely helps. So it doesn't shield it completely, but it can, help it along the way kind of travel in tandem. So
yeah,
I think that's about where our bottom would be again, which we've tested already very quickly. Like I said, if it goes back down to that level, I know there are massive orders set to buy it right back up, and I don't think it'll last very long.
Yeah. 2.4 cents, I think, was kind of the low that we saw here in the last few days.
Yeah.
And it seemed to bounce off that pretty good. It would make sense that about 2.5 cents is a pretty key number, I think. So definitely an area to watch there as well. I scooped some up right around that area as well.
Yeah,
but
you want to watch the support levels of where it's bouncing at, and if it holds there, then it may bounce a couple times. Now, if it bounces too many times, it could break through that. So that's what you really want to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, we've really only seen it consistently be there for a couple of days once here in this market. So I'm really a fan, and I know, Ewok, you have been listening to Richard Hart now for a number of years, even prior to Hex being released. But I really am a fan of just how he has. I've said it before. Twitter Spaces Richard Hart is the best Richard Hart, like bar none. I think it's because of how much he can expand on things and the fact that there are other dissenting opinions in the room, and people that default to him. But like right now in this bear market, with, again, as you keep saying, like the world burning around us and FTX and all this crap, and people really waking up to these suits and legacy finance coming in to ruin crypto, a guy like Richard Hart screaming from the rooftops the same stuff he has been saying for years, but just the bombastic nature of him, the outrage marketing and all that stuff. he's now starting to get more credibility with people that I don't think would have given him credibility before.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they're seeing this stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely helping. He's reaching an audience that may not have listened to him before. And it does have to, it sucks that he has to say, I told you guys, if you would just listen to me. And there's always the butthurt people out there that have been like, Richard, you need to be more sensitive to the people that have lost money. You should have listened to me. I'm trying to be as sensitive, but nobody listens when I'm sensitive. I have to be brash. I have to be real. And for you guys to pay attention and listen, that's what works. And it's true. Just like the outrage marketing that he does, dressing up like a clown. He doesn't enjoy doing that, but it works. It gets people's attention. It gets eyes on him. And then he can bring him into the financial stuff that he's created. Then they listen because they're like, who's this guy? It works. It really does work. But you're right. Yeah. The most real Richard that we've seen, without the clown suits, because you can't see that, right? You don't see any of that. You only hear him, and he's just so educated and so eloquently spoken about so many different topics. He really knows his stuff on just about everything. Anything that people are talking about anyway, he's either done research or he has a photographic memory, just because he just remembers and can spout that stuff off like it's just, that's what he does. So he's definitely catching the attention of a lot of people, which is good because all these people are already in crypto. Most of the people that are listening are already there, so it's a very easy onboarding to the Hex community type thing. When you can grab the people from crypto Twitter, they're there, and most of them already know what seed words are. They already know what MetaMask is. They already know what Uniswap is. So hopefully we can save some people and and get them onboarded into something that does not involve middlemen.
Yeah, I think that he himself, I don't think, I'm sure he drives some joy out of it, but it doesn't, he even calls it like the clown outfits and stuff like that too. Like, he clearly is doing it primarily to get attention. And you are right. It does work. He even criticizes it himself and says that it sucks that I have to do it this way and I don't want to do it this way and everything. And it is, it is free marketing. I just saw somebody the other day who, is more of a traditional crypto person retweeting it and making fun of him and stuff like that. And it's like, well, thank you, I guess. It's just like the more the awareness is out there and then you actually hear him speak, there is that barrier. Like, people don't want to listen to him and assume everything that he says is trash because of the way he acts and stuff like that. And I don't want to compare him to like Trump or something like that, or one of these like bombastic figures, because actually I think his knowledge of crypto rivals Trump's knowledge of anything, I think, for sure. And it's just, it's really, that's the thing. You have that barrier based on his personality, but when you hear him in these spaces and stuff like that, he's just laying it down. He knows exactly what is going on. You're right. He is really eloquent. And that would sound funny. Like, I'm a cynical person, and there may have been a time and place where I would have watched you and I talking about this, and just rolled my eyes like so many people are, and just said, like, you're talking about the dude that wears like, these checkered shorts and looks like a dork and everything like that, and is bragging about his PP size and everything. It's like, believe it or not, people can do that, but also be wildly educated and know what they're talking about in this space.
Well, I think people tend to forget that he is Mensa. His IQ is off the charts. He went to the school for the gifted while he was growing up. So, all of that stuff that people don't really know about Richard, they only hear a couple people say, well, he was the spam king, right? He's a scammer. And that's because they're hearing that at other places. And, you've got to listen to him. Once you hear him and listen to him, your mindset changes. It really does. And it's up to you to open your ears and just listen.
Yeah, I agree. More spaces, Richard. We definitely do love that version. So